I want to welcome everyone to this FDA compliance presentation. What we're going to be talking about here today are FDA inspections, a practical guide. It's given by Compliance Insight. We're going to be talking about how to get ready for an FDA inspection, what to do before, during, and after that event so you can become successful in your job and make your company successful. Preparing for the audit. First things first with this. I can tell you, you should always be prepared for an audit. You should not have these ebbs and flows of audit preparedness where you have to, at the last minute, run through and do everything quickly. I can tell you it becomes very apparent when people do that. I can see fresh paint over rust on equipment or on walls. I can see documents that were just signed or signed very recently, and they're all signed within a week of each other. It becomes very apparent that hurried work was performed, and this tells me that you are not really operating in a state of compliance continuously. You are just showing me this dog and pony show, so I get a good feeling, and then after I'm gone, you go back to just operations as usual. Now, that being said, last minute cleaning, organizing, certainly expected. I fully anticipate people will go through and clean things up. They'll put things away. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the major type of things. Just getting stuff to a state of compliance at the last minute is a bad idea. Most inspections from the FDA are certainly not announced. You may have some idea that they're coming in if you filed some type of application or if you've had some type of recall or serious complaint, but most of them, they just come in for an inspection. General GMP inspections are performed approximately every 2 years. There's some risk-based approach to that. It could be something even longer than that. If you're in compliance, if you've got a low-risk type of product, it'll go out probably farther than that. But if you're really risky in a product, parenterals, something that's very tough to make, expected approximately every 2 years. Pre-approval inspections, like I said, if you filed some type of application, expect the FDA to come in to look at your process. And certainly if you have a recall, serious complaint, expect for-cause inspections to follow up on those issues. Some general things to keep in mind preparing for the audit. A place for everything and everything in its place. This comes from an old 5S type of program. If you look that up on the internet, you'll see it's a sort of a maintenance type of program. It means everything is put in a proper place. It's organized and it's put away. It gives the sense visually that things are in control. And that's my important underline word here, control. If you don't give a visual perception to the inspector that you're in control, then you're going to give them a sense that you're out of control. You've got to make that first impression important and make it stick, because that is very critical to the inspector. Once they see it, you can't undo that visual impression. Have documents readily available for people during the inspection. I'll talk about that a little bit later as we go through this. Make sure any prior observations from auditors are completed and are effective. You have to confirm that. If your firm has a previous 483 and you're expecting the FDA to show up, I can tell you this, first thing they're going to start looking at are, did you really comply with these things? Were they completed on time? Were they effective in resolving the issues? How do you know they were effective? If I asked you that question now, how would you answer me? What would it be? That I didn't have any other issues, therefore it must have fixed it? It's probably not the right answer. If there are any issues, make sure they were explained or that you can explain them to an inspector. I always say, write it down, put it in the file, so it's very clear of what happened and explained very succinctly. You can do that very easily in a Word document before you sit in front of an inspector and try to ad-lib it. That's not going to probably do you any good. If things are not done, make sure you have a good excuse. I can tell you this, you're going to have to really have a good reason why you didn't get this done, and what are you doing in the interim, and what's the long-range plan. And I can tell you this, if you haven't informed the FDA of a delay in something, that's going to be a real problem for you. It's better for you to understand this up front right now before the inspection than it is during the inspection. One of the most important things for you to do is in preparing for an audit is conduct mock inspections. Have people come through and look at your systems. Conduct an inspection. Are people really prepared for it? Do the people up front, the receptionists, the guards, do they know what to do if an auditor shows up? Use internal people. Certainly, they're the ones knowledgeable of how things work. Use corporate people, someone outside of the day-to-day activities there. And certainly, use consultants. They can come in, they have that expertise, and they're going to ask the dumb questions because they don't know your system. They're going to really press you on what does this mean. Certainly, when you go through and do an inspection, evaluate your quality system. That is the most important system of systemic inspections that the FDA perform. Quality has to comply. If it doesn't, you take a real risk of having some issues coming out of the inspection. Prepare the war room. Now, a lot of people don't like the term war room. I do. I remember way back a long time ago coming up with war room. That's just something that's ingrained with me. A lot of people say it's combative. I call it whatever you want. But prepare an area where all your documentation is filed. And this is specifically to a pre-approval inspection, a PAI, because you know up front that they're coming in. Pull everything you can into the room and pre-review it. Don't just throw it in the room and then wait until the inspection comes up to go in and start looking at it. Look at it ahead of time. And I give you a list here of some things to prep. This is by no means an exhaustive list. You need to go through and pull everything together that you feel is important for your inspection. During the audit, all right, the audit comes up, the FDA pops up at your front door. They're going to give you what's called an FDA Form 482. That's just a notice that we're here to inspect you, what we're doing. It's going to be given to the person of authority in the firm, and they are going to sign it. You'll receive a copy of that. First thing you want to do is notify everybody in the company that the FDA is here. You probably, if you have corporate offices outside of that area, you want to notify them. If you're a CMO or something along that line that you do testing or manufacturing for a party that's contracted with you, and you know it's going to be an inspection to their product, you want to let those people know. You're going to retrieve information as requested. That's going to be something that the FDA is going to come in. They're going to say, we're here to look at this, and these are the things we want to see. Whatever list they give you, just start prepping it. If the PAI inspection, certainly do not drop the FDA off in your war room and say, here's everything, look around. We'll be back to see if you need anything. That is not what you want to do. You're going to take them to a room, a conference room. You're going to set them up in there, and you're then going to give them everything that they ask for. Gather that data quickly, evaluate it again before going into the inspector. Make sure there's no post-it notes. Make sure there's nothing that's attached to it. A sheet of paper that says what happened here, anything along that line. Most critical, this last point here, train people how to communicate with the FDA. Tell them the best thing they can do is be quiet. Don't converse with the FDA. Don't sit there and do chit-chat with how the company's working or problems. Do not have people in there that don't know how to communicate with the FDA sitting in front of them, because a lot of times they give the FDA a lot of information the FDA didn't even ask for. So it's really critical for that. And I can tell you, if you need more info on how to train people in communication, certainly go to our website, compliance-insight.com. There's a lot of helpful info there, and if nothing else, shoot us an email. We'll try to help you out with that. Be prepared to walk through your facility. That's going to be probably one of the early things that go on with this. They want to look at your operations. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It really depends upon the inspector. But certainly have an idea of where you're going to take them, what route you're going to take to get there. Just have it all planned out and have people ready for this. Have someone there. It's going to be a scribe, a person that's going to take notes. This is not the person that's going to be talking to the FDA. They should not say anything. They should be taking notes. If you have to, put a piece of duct tape over their mouth. Not really, but yeah, sometimes I feel like I want to. But just make sure they are there to take notes. Keep copies of whatever copies you give to the inspectors. If the inspector receives a copy of something, you get a copy of that. Make sure that you have everything that they have. Be aware that the inspector is looking at previous commitments and has read the EIR. That is the Establishment Inspection Report. That's a trip report from the FDA from your facility last time. Understand that they're there looking at your company and how you made corrective actions to anything that was previously noted by the FDA. The FDA is going to approach things systemically. They're going to look at not just how someone does something or how you make a product. They're going to look at your systems that control those factors. You have to think along those lines. General items are going to be evaluated. Some of the things that they're going to look at, and this really depends upon the inspector, depends upon the type of inspection ongoing, but this is a good list for you to sort of think about. Return goods. What came back? What were the issues with them? Why did they come in? What'd you do with those items? Very important. Complaints. They typically will look at your complaint file. What did you get in? How did you investigate it? How did you resolve it? Certainly investigations. I'm hard-pressed to remember an inspection in which the FDA did not ask for a list of investigations, OOSs, out of trends, deviations, whatever you call them. They're going to be wanting to look at those. Certainly batch records, specifically if it's a PAI to the product being made, and certainly validation protocols for any of the processes, any of the equipment, the facility, critical utilities such as water or air. All those things come into play. Ask at the day, as the day progresses, or at the end of the day, any observations or questions that the inspector may have. Make sure you get some feedback from them. This is a two-way street. Get something from them. Did they see something that they have a real concern about? More than likely, they're going to go back and they're going to think about it, and they're going to talk to their supervisor about it, and they may come back the next day and try to see what is it that really they saw and gather some more data for it. That is a real clear indication to you that they have some concerns on this issue. Keep on top of things. Don't become overconfident that everything's going great. Certainly don't think just because you get nothing back that you're not going to get an observation. I can tell you this, many small observations can lead to what I call the straw that broke the camel's back syndrome. You get all these little things that at the end of the day or at the end of the inspection, it's just too much. It's going to break that camel's back, and they're going to say, I'm going to give you an observation on this because there's something going on. Here this is, we have all these little observations. Make sure you handle those as the day goes on. Verify that you return all information pulled for the inspection, either during the audit or following the audit. More critically is to make sure that all that raw data that you pulled out, that you prepped for these guys, or that may have been pulled out during the inspection as requested by the inspector, is found and is returned. I have gone through many inspections where I look back and say, what did I do with this file? What did I do with the testing data? What did I do with the batch record? Where did it go? Did we lose it? Don't throw anything away in trash cans until you have reconciled all of the data and confirmed to yourself that yes, we have indeed collected everything that we brought out. Very important for that. You may want to have a master list of documents pulled to reference when you start returning things. That way you can just check those things off. After the audit, you're going to come up with a couple of action plans, how to fix things. I go over one here, and the next slide I'll go over another one. This is called a corrective action plan. It's a direct response to the investigator's finding. It's going to be initiated by and based upon the 483, or hopefully not, but if the warning letter comes out of it, it's going to be specifically targeted to those types of things. Limited in scope to the systems that the FDA reviewed, and it's going to be those systems, corrective actions performed as committed in time frame that you said to the FDA. Remember, your response to the FDA is public record. A GMP Enhancement Plan, or GEM as they called it here, is basically going beyond the FDA inspection. What did they see here, and then what do you do with it in other areas? Think about this. You go to a site A. What about site B or C? If you're in a manufacturing facility and you contract out maybe some of the processes or some other products, and you get an observation for some practice that you're doing, do you ever go back to your CMO to ask them, do you do this? Because if you do, we got a 483 for it. And you need to make sure that they aren't doing the same thing that you just got caught for. Remember, a CMO or a contract lab, whatever it is, a contract service provider, is an extension of your company. You need to make sure that they are compliant with the things that you do as well. The closeout meeting. This kind of jumps back a little bit to the FDA inspection. When the closeout meeting is going on, the auditor's done, they typically have a 483 for you. Hopefully, if it's really done well, you won't have that. But if you do, here they are. They're going to be closing out. Who attends this? I typically say someone from Reg Affairs, someone from Quality Assurance, someone from Operations, Production, Upper Management. Certainly highlight that. If someone from upper management, hopefully a very senior level management person, could be there, it's great. It gives the FDA the understanding that the person is there. The company is very committed to getting this done. Do not overwhelm them with a whole bunch of people. Decide in advance upon a response strategy. And I can tell you this, when you're there during the closeout, you be very careful in committing to things that you haven't well thought out. If you say to the inspector, yes, we will get this done by the end of next week, and you find out later on that it's going to take beyond the end of next week, it's too bad. You made the commitment to the FDA. Don't do that during an inspection or closeout inspection unless you're very, very sure that you can get this stuff done. If errors are present on those things, make sure you comment on them. Do it professionally. There's going to be some things that the FDA is going to write down. It's corrected and verified. It's corrected, but we didn't verify it. Corrections promised by a certain date. And again, you heard me say be very cautious with that. Or that no comment will comment to you in a written response within 15 days. The key thing after an inspection, especially one in which you receive a 483 or anything even beyond that, is reestablishing credibility with the agency. You need to evaluate the current state of compliance in light of what the FDA found. Collectively, systemically, analyze each citation. Review prior 483s, determine if all commitments were indeed met. Make sure you don't have any repeat items in there. If it is a repeat item, I can say it's going to be a real highlight in the FDA. They do not like repeat items. Identify the root cause. Very critical for you to systemically resolve the problem is getting to the root cause. And relate each issue that was found to the appropriate compliance and or quality system. You need to make sure everything is solved from a compliance quality system. Develop your action plan around the entire scope. Make sure you look at it systemically. Secure required resources, either financial or personnel. This is not something that you're going to assign people to it and say, okay, this is part of your regular job that you do, and this is going to be part-time. This is going to suck up a major amount of your time and your company's resources getting this thing done. You better understand that up front, or you're really going to have problems later on. Assign responsibilities and accountability. You need to get this thing done quickly, and you need to have it reviewed, written up, and handled within a certain amount of time. Someone has to take accountability for this. Do not make commitments that cannot be honored. I can't highlight that enough. Don't say I'm going to do this just because it sounds good and you can't do it. If you have any issues, notify the FDA immediately. Tell them we are going to miss this time frame. This is what we've come up with, a corrective action in the interim. This is what we see as a future action and due date. Have all that stuff very well thought out before you call. Prepare to be re-inspected. I can tell you this. When you tell the FDA we're going to do X, Y, and Z, they are going to come back and look at it. I can assure you that 100%. They're going to verify that you've met your commitments. You have to assure yourself that the resolution encompassed the root cause, that it's comprehensive, and that it was effective. Monitor warnings, 483s to other companies, regulatory action, GMP trends, to make sure that you have covered your operations to a degree that you'll be successful. Root cause of the 483. I can tell you this, with the FDA's new systemic approach, the FDA wants a systemic review of all your systems. Don't just fix the problem, the issue that they saw, determine the root cause and fix that. Evaluate those things across the board and make sure that it is resolved systemically. If you don't do that, you're in a real risk of having some serious problems upon the FDA's next inspection. Thanks for listening to all this. I know I went through this fairly quickly. A lot of high-level things. This is very complex when you get to it. If you have any questions, certainly give us a call. Go to our website, compliance-insight.com. We have a lot of things there that help out, a lot of examples, a lot of free information that will hopefully help you out. If you need anything that really takes a call with us, call us. I'm telling you this, call us for a free consultation. We'll give this to you. We'll try to help you out very quickly. We'll go over things and try to give you some immediate feedback. And if you need anything beyond that, hopefully we can help you out with that as well. At least point you in the right direction. Thank you again for listening to this. And certainly visit our website and glean all the information from that as best you can. Thank you and good luck with your FDA inspection.